Hi, this is Krista at The Secret Yarnery. Today we're making this amazing border for a crochet blanket. You can put it on any blanket at all. We are putting it on our polka dot blanket, but it works for any blanket and you can do any color. You can do all one color, you can do two colors, or you can do an entire rainbow like I did. So let's get started. To start making this border, just find a corner of your blanket and put your hook in, and we're going to just join our yarn. So how I join my yarn, and we're doing this round in the same color. You can do whatever you like, but I'm doing in the same color. So just put a loop of yarn on your hook, drag it through and slip stitch with both to join, and now drop your tail and we're ready to start. If you have done your blanket with me, we ended with a single crochet to join and our yarn is still attached. So go to that spot, take out your stitch marker and put your hook inside that same stitch. Now we're going to chain one and turn our work. We're going to be working into the back stitches. They're nice and easy to see and it'll keep our border nice and straight. So now into this space, because we're still in our corner, we'll make one single crochet. And now one single crochet into each stitch, going all the way along until we get to our first join. So go into your stitches until you get to this join. When you get to where it looks messy and different and weird, go into the first bit, bring the yarn and bring it back, go into that second, well basically it's a stitch on both sides of that join, go into both of them. Grab your yarn and bring it back. So you don't take anything off your hook. You have 3 loops on your hook, then wrap your yarn and take off all 3 loops. So that turns that join area into one single crochet for our border, which is what we like to do. So now keep going, making one single crochet into each stitch. And I'll show you the next join as well, just so you get an idea of what it looks like. And so into the last one that looks normal, and now it's kind of weird. So the first weird half, put your hook in, grab your yarn and bring it to the front, and into the second weird bit, kind of like the other side of that join. I don't want to go into the big space, I want to go into that stitch. I just want 2 loops of that stitch on my hook. Grab my yarn and bring it back, wrap my yarn, and now I'm going to take off all 3 loops. So that's a single crochet decrease. So we're doing a single crochet decrease at the joins and one single crochet into each stitch, and I'll meet you at the corner. Make sure you get into that last stitch before the corner, and into the corner, single crochet, chain 1 and single crochet. So that just gives us a little tiny extra chain 1 to get around the corner, and now keep going all the way around your entire blanket, and I'll meet you when we get back to the join. When we get back to where we join, just make sure you go into that last stitch, which on my blocks is a chain, and now into the corner, one single crochet. We'll do a chain 1 and we'll slip stitch to the top of that chain, if you can see that. We'll just slip stitch 2 loops of yarn on your hook and slip stitch to join. Now we are going to be continuing with this yarn, so now I'm just going to do a quick little chain 2, 1 and 2. I'm going to skip over 2 stitches, so this little weird one there, that's a stitch, here's a stitch, so into the third, which is this one, I'm going to make a single crochet. Chain 2, skip 2, and single crochet. So now we're just making little areas for our next round of the border, and also these chains help the blanket not stretch because they don't have the same stretch. So we did single crochet and that helps it stretches a lot less than the doubles, but now we're going to do a single with 2 chains, and that'll really help tighten it up and help it not flop out when you spread it over a bed or give it a nice big shake. So 2 chains, skip 2 into the third, single crochet, and we're going to do this all the way around. Oh, you'll also notice we are not turning our work this round. We're still working in, we're going to work into our V's along this side. So no turning your work. We're going to turn our work so all the pretty stitches are with our colored yarn for the next round. So keep going, I'll meet you at the corner. And if you stretch the edge of your blanket, you'll know it doesn't stretch like it did before. So that's why making these little chain spaces are just a great thing to do for borders. Now getting close to your corner, do the same thing with your chain 2s and your skipping 2s, and then see if it lines up anywhere near your corner. And mine gets close. I kind of wanted it in that chain 1 spot for there, so I'm going to put it there. I'm just going to scoot that all over. We made a little chain 1 spot, so if you look in your corner, there's the legs from your 2 single crochets. So we're just going to go right in the center of those 2, like that, and make a single crochet. And we kind of did jump over a bit. We made this spot a little smaller. I think I skipped 3 stitches there. Doesn't totally matter. And chain 2. And then into the same spot, in between those 2 singles, make another single crochet. So that is our chain spot for the next round. And no matter what your stitch count was, you can always fudge, make it like skip 1 stitch or skip 3 stitches. It doesn't totally matter, and I'm going to try to kind of do the same thing here, although I will, because this stitch, if you pull those single crochets back, there's a stitch hiding right there. So I'm going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and I'm going to skip that one that's kind of in the corner, and these other 2, so it matches. That corner is going to match, and it is kind of fudging, but it's going to still be really cute, and nobody's going to pick at your corners and see what you did. So there is our corner, and that is what you're going to do for your corners. So just kind of do your best and make sure it's even on both sides. So whatever you do to fix it on one side, do the same on the other side, and then keep going. Put it behind you, move on, work your way around your whole blanket, and I'll meet you at the join. When we get back to where our loops start, our chains, we're going to do our same chain 2, and we're just going to go into that corner and single crochet, do our chain 2, 1 and 2, and then just slip stitch to join. I slip stitch to this second chain, so not right where I joined the yarn, but just do a little slip stitch and then grab a stitch marker. If you're lazy, I'll show you how it looks. So stitch marker into the loop when you're finished that row, and then I just pin it onto a stitch on the front of my work. And then the back one, I do the same thing. I just keep a stitch marker along the back on one of those stitches, and I just pop the working yarn into that stitch marker, close it up, and then keep going. And that just keeps your loop on the one side you need it and your working yarn on the other side, and then you don't have to worry if you go over it too quick and the working yarn, it goes on the wrong side. This is the join on the back, and you can see the difference. There's just one yarn coming up here where the other ones don't have it, but if you're looking at your entire blanket border, you can't really see, and well, I'm fine with that, but that is the compromise you make for not cutting your yarn and weaving in your ends every row. But you do not have to cut this yarn if you don't want to. So I just put a stitch marker on it, and it might also be helpful with the stitch marker to just also pin it onto the macaroni side or onto the bad side of your circles. Good side, macaroni side. So pin it to the macaroni, just so it's easier for you in the future. Now we're going to turn our work, so flip your blanket over, and we're going to join our new color yarn, the first color of our border, into a corner space. So put your hook right into that chain 2 space you made in the corner. Loop of yarn on your hook. You want to leave a pretty decent tail because we have to sew it in later. We can't work it in forever. So bring your yarn through and slip stitch with both to join. Drop your tail and chain 1 more. So that acts as a chain 2 if you joined like me. If you didn't join like me, then do join your yarn and chain 2. Wrap your yarn and into the same corner space, make 1/2 double crochet. So that's the first half of our corner, and now into the next space over here and drop your tail. We're going to have to work that in with a needle later. Into the next chain 2 space, wrap your yarn and do 3 half double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Wrap your yarn and 3 into the next chain 2 space. So every space around your blanket is getting 3 half double crochets. And nothing in between, we're just doing half doubles, 3 into each of these little spaces that we made in our last round. So this is what your side is going to look like, the first round of your border. So keep going until you get to the corner and I'll meet you there. When you get to the corner, make 2 half double crochets into that corner space. Chain 1 and 2 more half doubles on the other end of that corner to get around. And now into each space, doing the same thing, 3 half doubles into each space, and into the corners we're going to be doing 2 half doubles, a chain 1, and 2 more half doubles. So keep going all the way around your blanket like that, and I'll meet you when you get to the join. When you get back to your corner, 2 half doubles into that corner space, 1 and 2. And we're finished with this color, so we'll do a chain 1 and slip stitch to join. So just poke your hook into the top of that chain 2, or the slip stitch and the chain 1. And slip stitch to join, chain 1 to secure your yarn, and cut your yarn. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. So you're finished with the first color of your border. Now go back, turn your work again. So the colors we're doing on one side, and these nice spaces we're doing on the back side. That is going to keep our border nice and flat, or else it could start curling up like that. So if we flip it each round, we'll end up with a pretty nice and flat laying border. So take your stitch marker out, put that loop onto your hook, grab your yarn and slip stitch to join it up, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And now go over into the next space in between those the sets of 3 half doubles, and do a single crochet. Chain 2, and now go into your corner chain, which is here. I'm going to try to get that knot tucked in there. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the same corner, chain 2, single crochet into the next space, like so, and keep working your way around like we did before. Chain 2 and we'll do a single crochet into the space between these sets. So they're going to stack one on top of each other, and your join is going to be a little different. It'll look a little different, especially on this other side. It'll be a bit skinnier than the rest, but I'll show you afterwards what it looks like, and I think it's worth it to not have to sew in the end. But if you want to cut your yarn every round and join in a new spot and sew in your ends, you're welcome to do that. This is just me being lazy. So keep going, finishing this round of making your chain 2 spots with a single crochet in between these sets, all stacking up where you made them in the last round, and I will meet you back at the join. When you get back to where you joined, just slip stitch into that chain. I just try to go into that first chain, 2 loops of that chain on my hook, slip stitch to join, just a nice tight little slip stitch. Take your hook out and put your stitch marker in, and also tuck it down on that seam side. Oh, it is very bright, isn't it? So that one stays there, and make sure that this yarn stays on the other side. So just to make sure of that, you can just do like a little tiny, if you're not sure, you can just do a little tiny loopy knotty thing and another stitch marker on this side just to hold it, just so when you're going around it doesn't get tousled up and end up on the wrong side. Then find another corner and we're going to join our next yarn. So pretty side up, find a corner that you have not recently used, put your hook into that corner space, that chain 2, and get your next color yarn. I'm going to be doing 6 colors, the colors I used for my polka dots, and in the same rainbow order. So put a loop of that yarn on your hook, bring it through, slip stitch with both to join, drop your tail, and chain 1. And the same way, if you're joining your yarn in a different way, join your yarn and do a chain 2. Into that same corner spot, 1 half double crochet, drop your tail, and 3 half doubles into each space all the way around. So you're going to keep doing this, alternating rows of your color, doing your little boxes, and then doing your little chain spaces all the way around until your border has all the colors that you want to put on it, or is the width that you would like it to be. So keep going, and we're going to end on this row here. So when you're finished, you're going to end with your chain 2 spaces, and I'll meet you back for that, and I'll show you how I finish it off. So when you get back to your join, do your regular chain 2 and push your hook in to that first chain that you made and slip stitch to join. Now we're going to turn our work, and you can kind of see how where we joined is. It does not look that much different for the amount of laziness. So turn your blanket over. We want to work into the pretty side. Get your yarn behaving. We want to just slip stitch into this next space. So get your hook in there and just slip stitch so that your yarn is coming from that area, and chain 2, 1 and 2. That's going to count as our first half double. 2 more half doubles into this stitch. And now let's put our little stitch marker back in. We want to calculate our picots. So go back to your corner and make it so into our corner space, we're going to be doing a corner and 2 double crochets. So there's going to be a picot right in this corner, and then also we can put one right here. So our corners will have the 3. So picot, picot, picot. Skip 1, picot. So we're going to do a picot here. Skip 1, picot. So we're going to picot here. Skip 1, picot. So we're going to picot here. Skip 1, picot. Okay, so we're going to picot right where we are. That will depend on where you joined your yarn and all the rest of it. So don't worry if you're in a different spot, but you'll get an idea for what I mean. So if we're going to do a picot right here, we chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And then slide your hook down back into that stitch. So there's your V. You want to put your hook back down into the V, getting that first loop, and then also the next one that's down on the side, that one. So you want to pick up those 2 loops and wrap your yarn, and you're just going to slip stitch. So bring your hook through and bring your hook through. So there's a little picot. Doesn't look like much right now. 3 double crochets into the next space, 1, 2, 3, and we're not picoting here. We're going to picot every other single crochet is going to get a picot on top. So we're going to do 6 half doubles in between our picots. So we've picoted on this row and skipped 1, and now we're going to picot on this one. It's just on the top of our, it's on top of our 3rd half double. We just do a chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Go down into the top of that stitch. Get the next loop on your hook as well. So there's 2 loops on your hook. Grab your yarn and slip stitch. So that's your picot. Wrap your yarn, 3 half doubles into the next space. Here's our 3rd, and 3 into the next space over. So this is going to be our 4, 5, and this is our 6th. Half double crochet. You can see our little bump starting. So now do your picot. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, into the top of that stitch, push the next loop on your hook as well, grab your yarn and slip stitch to finish your picot. So we're just making these little bumps. Every other single crochet is getting one, or the spot where the single crochets were. So now we're going to do 6 half doubles, 3 into each space, 2, 3, and into the next, 4, 5, and 6, and picot. So to picot, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, push your hook down into that V from the top and slide that second loop onto your hook as well. Grab your yarn and slip stitch to join. And 6 more double crochets, 3 into each of these spaces. 1, 2, 3, into the next space, 4, 5, and 6. I'm almost out of yarn, relatively speaking. I almost have to go get more yarn. So we're going to picot. 1, 2, 3, and into the top of that stitch, so going down into it, 2 loops on your hook, slip stitch to finish the picot. You can see these picots, they're not bulky. They're the same thickness as your blanket, but they just add a little texture on the edge, and they make your blanket look like it's finished. No one's gonna wonder why you stopped. They're gonna be like, oh, well, of course it's finished. Look at those picots. So keep going. 6 half double crochets into 2 of these sections, and then a chain 3 picot. All the way along, I'll meet you at the corner. So I've just finished my picot. So into the next space, I'll do my 3, 1, 2, 3 half doubles. And then into that corner chain 2 space, I'll do my 2 half doubles. 1 and 2. And now I'm going to do a picot again, but I'm going to do with 4. I'm going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're still doing it the same way. It's just because it's in the corner, it'll just be a smudge bigger. So back down into that stitch, 2 loops on your hook, slip stitch to join. And now we'll work back along this side. So we'll finish our 2 more half doubles into the same corner space. And 3 into the next space, 1, 2, 3. And then whatever happened on the first side of the corner, you're going to mirror it on the second side. So I ended up with a picot right here. So I'm going to do a picot on the opposite side, just so this corner matches. Your corners might be a bit different from one side to the other. It depends on what blanket you're doing and how your stitch count was. When we get back to the join, so we have where we joined and our chain 1 on top of that. So just get into that chain, 2 loops on your hook, 1 and 2, slip stitch to join, chain 1, cut your yarn, pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. And that is how you do this super fantastic stacking tile rainbow border. Though yours does not have to be rainbow, but I love it. And a cute little picot at the top. You don't have to do the picot either, but I really think it makes it look finished. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share, and stay hooked.